Hi, it's me. It's Kairos. Been a while since I've done a 100% honest review video. In fact, it's almost been a year, just over 11 months since my last one. Honestly, until this update, there really hasn't been too much that's been controversial. Like there has been, obviously, there's always stuff going on, but not something that I felt like was really worth talking about. You know, there was some stuff like Buzz Lightyear was too strong, kind of ruined the game temporarily, but even he got nerfed, and I actually really liked that update a lot. I did not have very much to complain about. It was just like a poor balance. I don't know. I know people hated it. I loved it. I thought it was so fun playing Buzz Lightyear. It was so busted. Anyway, the point is that nobody really wants to hear me talk about how great the game is, right? Like, if I did an update review video, I'd be like, yeah, Buzz Lightyear's busted, but I'm having fun. So that's the video. Ha! Is it even worth me making a YouTube short on that? I don't even think so. But we actually have a bit of drama to cover with the most recent event, the sushi event, not to mention ultra legendary brawlers. So yeah, here I am. So massive shout out to Supercell for bringing me back to the 100% honest review. Future Kairos here. I filmed this video before the mastery rework announcement, and I'm going to wait before I review that until after we actually get a chance to see it. So you're gonna have to hang tight for that. Yeah, anyway, let's continue. Before we get into the drama though, let's start off with some very rapid fire opinions on some of the worthwhile, well, there's been a lot of changes that have happened in the last year, but let's talk about the biggest things. First of all, the rework to ranked, loved it. Especially the pro pass. It's actually way better for progression than ranked ever has been in the past. And it actually feels worth playing now on my free-to-play account. There was no reason for me to play my free-to-play account before. Legitimately, like no reason. And now there's actually a lot of resources and rewards for me to go for. So I'm actually really liking the rank change. Also, like small changes to like, you know, having 3 maxed out brawlers or trial brawlers each season for players to mess around with. I really like that. I also really love the next big thing was the trophy rework and the trophy boxes. Now, I haven't been personally grinding them out. I really can't say too much about what the game feels like past 1,000 trophies on a brawler, but I have been enjoying getting more resources with just the basic trophy box than before the reset. Like, it's just been good. The Angels versus Demon event, right? That was insanely good for progression. I really enjoyed the SpongeBob collaboration as well. The last year has just been a lot of really, really great updates for Brawl Stars, and the game has been growing and been just doing so well for so long. This year, things have started to slow down a little bit, at least for total views on YouTube. That's the one thing that I can see and I'm paying attention to. I don't know about actual player numbers on the Brawl Stars side of things, but I imagine that they're slowing down simply because the number of people that are actually watching YouTube videos on YouTube seems to be a fairly good reflection of how the game is doing in general. So, you know, I don't know. Yeah, well, we got some complaints to talk about. And for the most part, any of these complaints that I've had are like really small in comparison to like all the awesome changes that we've had in the last year. Like there's been small things, but like last year's been pretty great. But I do think it's very important for me to share my honest opinions, especially when there's a lot of community feedback, because you know, I think the community is, I don't know, sometimes I feel like the community is just like, I don't know, they feel like Supercell's evil or something. And it's just not the case. At least not for Brawl Stars. I don't know about the other Supercell games. Like, well, I'm not going to go there. But I think it's important for me to start this video talking about how great Brawl Stars has been in the last year. It's not been perfect, but it's been really good. But yeah, I'm just going to call it how I see it. I'm not even pretending to feel like, I'm not even saying that my opinion is the best and the ultimate way. It's just my opinion. That's what these videos are about. I'm being 100% honest with you guys with my feelings and my opinions. So that's what we're doing here. Starting off, I think that a lot of the drama that we see in this update has just been really over-exaggerated, which is usually the case with a lot of drama in life, right? But I do think that a lot of the points that I've seen across social media and stuff like that have been, they're legitimate and kind of worth considering. So I hope that the Brawl Stars team is able to, I don't know if they're watching this video, but if they are, they can take some of these points of feedback that I've been noticing and kind of apply some things to make future events and updates even better. So what I want to offer is a logical opinion on what I think that Supercell can learn from this. And I think that the biggest topic I would like to cover is Kaze, a super expensive brawler, the first ever ultra legendary brawler. But before we get to Kaze, we need to talk about the most recent wasabi and sushi event. Complaint number one that I saw a lot of people mention is the fact that a ton of wasabi powers were straight up copies from the mutation power-ups that we had about a year ago. And this feedback, it's so funny. It's really funny to me. The reason why is because when mutations first came out, the biggest complaint was people saying like, well, why are the developers wasting time on temporary power-ups instead of spending more time making permanent additions to the game? Like, don't give us mutations, give us more hypercharges for the brawlers. Why'd you make 30 mutations? You could have made 30 hypercharges, right? Like, that was what people were complaining about a year ago, which I get that feedback. I want permanent additions into the game way more than I want temporary power-ups, even though the power-ups are fun, right? And so I get that feedback. But then this update, the complaint that people are saying is they're like, oh, well, the devs are being lazy for copying power-ups that they've already developed for a temporary event a year ago, which a lot of people that are playing Brawl Stars right now didn't play mutations at all. So this is the first time they're experiencing it. So like, what is it? Do you guys want the devs to spend more time on permanent additions? Or do you want them to spend more time developing temporary power-ups that are different from mutations? What do you want? Because, I mean, yeah, obviously we want both, right? But like, I don't know. You can see where this, like, the logic is. Like I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. So in my opinion, I really don't think it's fair to call the devs lazy for copying a lot of the power-ups from last year, especially because they're not all copies. And this year, we actually got 60 wasabi powers, which is 20 more than the 40 mutations that we had last year. Now, a lot of those are also like copies of other ones, you know, like Meeple and Angelo all shoot their 3 ammos in 3 separate ways. Like, it's the same ability, right? But also those are two very different brawlers, and so it affects them a little bit differently. Anyway, I don't know. These wasabi powers were honestly a lot more balanced than the mutations were last year. They were way less frustrating to play around. Some of them were definitely clearly strong, but they also did a round of balance changes in the middle of it to make things a little bit more balanced. And I don't know. That's how I felt about the mutations, right? I'm not saying that people's feedback isn't somewhat justified. I understand why people are calling the devs. I really don't know. I don't understand. They're not lazy, okay? They're saving time and giving us a great event. They even increase the number of special abilities while also developing permanent game modes and additions into the game like new hypercharges and new brawlers. Yeah. Would have been cool if we would have had 60 completely unique wasabi powers with no repeats from mutations, right? But like, let's be realistic here. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with what we got. And I enjoyed playing them a lot more than I enjoyed the mutation event. It's hard for me to remember exactly a year ago, but I had a lot of gripes with mutations. And a lot of those gripes didn't happen this time. It was pretty good. So that's how I feel about the gameplay of this event. But what about the rewards? I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. The rewards didn't feel great. It's not that they were bad. They're like, I don't think that people saw the rewards and were like, oh my gosh, I gotta play every single day. I gotta tell all my friends about this. This is so cool. Give me more wasabi power. Or like, I don't think anybody, well, maybe somebody where people were doing it. I don't know, there's a lot of people that play Brawl Stars, but I don't think a majority of people were, right? This is actually really tricky. Different players prioritize different things in special events and stuff like that. Some people, all they care about is progression. Other people, they don't care about progression. They know they're never gonna unlock every single brawler and max them all out. So what they really want, cosmetics and skins for their favorite brawlers. And some people, I mean, yeah, they care about those things, but what they mostly care about is just having some fun. So we kind of already talked about the fun aspect of this event. Well, I don't know, we'll get back to it. Let's start off by talking about progression. And when I say progression, I mean coins, power points, brawler upgrades, gears, star powers, free hypercharges, and stuff like that. And there were 3 reasons why I felt like, I don't want to say this special event was bad. It's like, yeah, we did get free resources, but it just like didn't live up to the expectation. I don't feel like it was worth the hype. First of all, progression wise, the event started with very few ways to get sushi rolls. They were just like, you just get like 1 or 2 a day. I mean, you got 2 if you played your 8 matches every day, but beyond those 2, there really weren't too many additional ways to get sushi rolls. I mean, there were ways, but like you didn't get very many, as opposed to like the very end of the event where you could get up to 5 additional ones every single day for the contest, right? Second reason why I feel like this update kind of like was lacking when it comes to the rewards is that a good chunk of those sushi rolls contained wasabi powers, which are temporary power-ups They are not progression. They don't buff your account at all. So every time you got a wasabi power, especially for a brawler that is under-leveled or a wasabi power that wasn't great in comparison to a lot of the other ones, when that happened, it was just like a downer. It just felt like a waste, right? The third reason why I felt like this update was really lacking when it came to the progression side of things is that when you did get resources, most of them are like 50 coins, and people do need coins, and the coins are good, and those do add up. But you didn't get a whole lot of additional like free hypercharges. On most of my accounts, I only got 1 free hypercharges from those sushi rolls, which is really actually pretty low in comparison to this SpongeBob event. I don't remember, this is just off the top of my memory. I'm pretty sure I got 3 or 4 free hypercharges from the SpongeBob event. I could be making that up. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking in the past in rose-colored glasses. I don't know. But I know that I got more than 1. Man, I got a lot of free hypercharges from that event. It was great. Even from Angels versus Demons, it was great for progression. Now, eventually, if you played super diligently and then you unlocked all of the wasabi powers, then all of your sushi rolls would go towards other resources and cosmetics and stuff like that. And that is when the progression started to happen. But that the progression really didn't happen until way later. It was end loaded as opposed to being front loaded. A front loaded event would mean you get all the good resources right at the beginning. An end loaded event means that you really don't get a whole lot of resources, but then at the end they start pouring in a lot. And that felt not great. Anyway, the fourth and final week was really just the best way to get sushi rolls, and that just meant that the progression resources really only happened if you were super diligent about playing every single day. But because that didn't happen for a while, it really made the event feel like it wasn't worth playing at the start for a lot of people, and that just killed the drive for some people to really care about the event or tell their friends about the event or come back to the game to play the event, especially when you see people complaining on social media about how, you know, they feel like the event wasn't good. I'm not saying the event wasn't or was bad. I'm just saying if people's perception is that the event isn't good, that's going to spread around somewhat. Not to every single player. Not everybody's on social media. Most players actually aren't. But it's going to have an impact, you know? Second reason that people like events is because of cosmetics, and I think that cosmetics are actually very similar story to the progression side of things. There were so few sushi rolls given early in the event, and it made it feel like it was going to be impossible to get the 200 sushi rolls at the end in order to get the prize skin, the hypercharge upgrade to the Cursed Kenji skin, the Oni Kenji skin, right? Legitimately, if you miss just a few days throughout the whole event and you had bad RNG for the sushis to split, that was all it took for you to not complete the whole event and get all the rewards. And there were just so many barriers of entry to getting the prize skin. If you weren't in a good enough club to maximize the mega buffet, chances were you weren't going to get the prized skin. If you weren't skilled enough to consistently get the top 2 or 3 in the contests or in the final week, chances are you weren't going to get the prized skin. If you didn't follow Brawl Stars' social media pages or the creators to get bonus sushi rolls, chances are you weren't likely to get the prized skin. If you didn't get good wasabi powers for brawlers that you have maxed out, chances are it was going to be harder for you to earn more sushi rolls to get the prize skin. If you had bad RNG and your sushi rolls just didn't split frequently enough, the chances are you weren't going to get the prize skin. There were just so many factors in this event that really required like ultimate dedication if you wanted all of the rewards. And that made a lot of players just give up hope on completing everything. On my free-to-play account, I got the prized skin on the second to last day of the event. If I would have missed 3 days of gameplay progression, I would not have gotten it. Like, think about that. 3 days out of 4 whole weeks. I know mathematically it doesn't like work out, but you guys get the idea here. It's just like, it just kind of crushed people's dreams a little bit. I am not going to say that I feel like every player deserves the ultimate prized skin, right? Like let's be real here. That skin took a lot of time and dedication for the developers to make, and it's an expensive skin. And they created an opportunity for free-to-play players to get one of the coolest skins in the game. I'm not saying that all free-to-play players deserved to have that. That's not how, like, you know, in real life, you usually have to pay for the good stuff, right? That's just the way that the world works. The problem here is that the Brawl Stars developers have kind of created this expectation that free-to-play players will be able to unlock the best stuff, right? When hypercharged skins first came into the game, there was a guaranteed way for players to be able to get, I forget if it was the Sovereign Rico skin or the Godzilla Buzz skin that came in first, but both of those were ways that players could guarantee get those skins, and there was a very clear and direct path for you guys to get that. Even for the Angels versus Demons, it wasn't a guarantee that you get one of the skins, but I did get one on all of my accounts that I was playing for free at the time. That's a small sample size of 2, but you get the idea here. The thing is that these events in the past have created a lot of hype because of the awesome free-to-play resources that people could get, and that hype was legit. People were sharing the game, telling people, come back to Brawl Stars, play Brawl Stars, because there's so many awesome free rewards here. And that just didn't happen with this event. It wasn't hyped enough because it kind of crushed people's dreams very early on, because they realized, oh, even if I'm a free-to-play player and I'm not the best, or I'm not in a great club, I'm not going to be able to get all the rewards. And whether or not players deserve to be able to get all the rewards, I think it matters, but I think what's more important here is the expectation that Supercell has kind of created in the past for previous events, right? Now, if Supercell wants to break away from that and they're just like, hey, we're going to stop giving away so many free resources, more power to them. I don't think that's the way to go. I think that the biggest, most hype events are when Supercell is giving tons of free resources away. I mean, we look at the 100 star drop event, we look at the legendary star drop event, the mega box event, like these were big things where players just got a ton of resources. It was awesome and people really liked the game then, you know? I'm not saying that's the only reason people play Brawl Stars. You should play Brawl Stars because it's a fun game to play, because it really is. The gameplay is the best part of the game in my opinion, not the progression. But it's just this expectation that people had of feeling like, I felt like I was going to be able to get the prize, like why, and not being able to get the prize. That sucks. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. The thing is this event was actually pretty good for cosmetics. Okay, progression didn't feel super great, but cosmetic wise, if you were a hardcore player that didn't miss a day, who was in a good club, had a good enough skill to win all the contests, like, you can get all the skins. I got all of the skins on my free-to-play account, and, you know, other than the one that was locked behind the Brawl Pass, and on my skin-locked account, I got every skin for the brawlers that I had unlocked. I was actually missing some brawlers, and so I obviously couldn't get the skins for them. And on my free-to-play account, I did get the 200 sushi rolls required to get the prize hypercharged skin upgrade. On my skin-locked account, I wasn't able to, but I took quite a few days off and didn't really prioritize the event because getting the hypercharge Oni Kenji skin is pretty much pointless, because I'm not going to be able to unlock Kenji for another 6 months maybe, and by that time I really hope that I will have beat Masters and I won't be playing on that skin lock account anymore. But anyway, that's you get the idea. The unfortunate thing here is that it seems pretty impossible for players to within a week of playing to be able to get it, so they just kind of gave up. And I think if it was a little bit more clear from the beginning that it was possible, even more players would have been more invested throughout the whole event, and you know, increasing the resources and the free stuff that people got. I think that would have been cool, but I don't know. Anyway, but the third group of people who really just want special events to be fun, I think this was the best part of the event. It was great. I enjoyed the manga aspect of it. The theme was really cool. They were going to have a really massive collaboration. We don't know what the collaboration was, though. This isn't insider information, but like I saw somebody say, I think that this was going to be a Naruto update or collab. And I was like, that makes sense. Look at all the skins. It's so cool. Like, and then for whatever reason, the collaboration fell through. They had to redo a whole bunch of stuff. There was a mad rush. Massive props to the devs for actually redoing so much of this update that they had been working on for so long. Like, I'm sure that really sucked for them, and I think they deserve a big pat on the back for going through that and actually providing us with an awesome update. And I liked that there was actually plenty of time to get the best wasabi powers before daily contests, where it actually mattered the most. One of my biggest issues with previous events like this, like the Godzilla event, was that it was so hard for free-to-play players to actually get the Godzilla eggs, because all the pay-to-play players could get all the really good stuff right at the very beginning, and free-to-play players, it really struggled. But this is kind of like, this is the double-edged sword here, right? I didn't like that the progression and the resources was end-loaded in the event, but the benefit of that was that all the abilities were very front-loaded, and you were able to get lots of abilities early on so that you could actually compete later on, when actually competing mattered the most. It was a very smooth transition, and I liked that a lot. Also, another complaint in past events was how repetitive they were. You'd have to do the same thing over and over and over again. You just log in and do the same thing, and it's boring. This time, you had a different way to earn sushi each week. In fact, this was probably the least repetitive event that we've ever had, if I can remember right. I don't know. I really like the two new game modes that we got, the PvE and the PvEVP. If you know what those mean, cool, whatever. It was basically the two new events. And even with the contests, I actually really like that you were able to choose one of the three modes to compete in. It was really good, and you could choose the modes according to which wasabi powers you actually had for your brawlers and which brawlers you had maxed out. It was really great. I loved the way that they did that. It was good. This was a very good event when it comes to like actually having fun playing Brawl Stars in a new way. Overall, I think on social media, people made the event look and sound worse than it actually was, even if it wasn't perfect. But I didn't feel like this event was particularly amazing. For me, the Angels versus Demons was really like the S tier event. The progression was good. The cosmetics were good. The event was really fun to play. It was just good all the way around. And big events like that really built up an expectation within the community for everything to be awesome, especially when it comes to progression. And the sushi event, it really wasn't bad, but it just wasn't as good as previous ones, and that made it look bad. I don't know if I've summed up people's feelings really well. Maybe I'm missing something massive and people are like, Kairos, you're a complete idiot. That's not how we feel about the event at all. Cool, whatever, you can let me know in the comment section below. But maybe also the community sentiment that I saw was way off. Maybe Supercell actually saw really good numbers and data in response to this event. I want to know. So let me know what you guys thought about the sushi event. And you know. Okay, Kaze, the real hot topic. First ever ultra legendary brawler, and she costs 5,500 credits to unlock for free, which is almost enough to unlock both a mythic and a legendary brawler. And she was available for an offer for $50 US, which is the equivalent of 5 whole brawl passes of progression, which actually insane. Let's just say, now, we're not just going to say this, but the community had a really big reaction to Kaze. And I actually agree with a lot of the issues that the community seemed to have with the ultra legendary rarity. At the same time, I kind of had a chuckle at how intense people were. Like, I saw some people saying that adding ultra legendary brawlers was the worst update in Brawl Stars history, which is just too strong an opinion, right? Like, undeniably, the Gears update, the original Gears update, was just way worse. It's not even close. It single-handedly increased the cost to max by way longer than even the Hypercharge update. The real kicker here, though, the reason why I like it worse than the Hypercharge is because Hypercharges were fun, and Gears, they're way less fun and exciting to use than Hypercharges. And you actually get a ton of Hypercharges for free from star drops and special events and stuff like that. Like, so I have so many brawlers that have a hypercharge on them that I have not purchased the hypercharge for on my free-to-play account. It's insane. It's like, it's crazy. This is so much better than Gears. The point here is that Supercell would have to add a ton of ultra legendary brawlers every year for it to be as bad for free-to-play players as the Gears update or the hypercharge update. In terms of like time to max, that's really what I consider to be the biggest thing when I'm talking about like whether or not an update is good for free-to-play players. How much does this update increase the amount of time to max or decrease the amount of time to max? And I don't think this is going to increase the time to max at all, actually. Now you're probably like, Kairos, how is that even possible? They're adding ultra legendary brawlers into the game. That's way more expensive than all the other brawlers. How could that not possibly increase the time to max? It's because credits aren't even close to being the limiting factor for a maxed account. The biggest bottleneck by far to a max account is coins. It's like way higher. The second bottleneck is power points. Again, way higher than credits. Credits isn't even close to being a bottleneck. You will have every single brawler unlocked in the game for years before you have a maxed out account. Years. Actually, I don't know if I should say years, but at least a year. I don't know that for sure. I haven't run the data on that, but I have a free-to-play account that has every single brawler unlocked, and every brawler is at power 9 or higher. In rough napkin math in my head, I don't think I'm going to have the account maxed out for at least another year and a half. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It's got some time. Like, the coin bottleneck is insane. Now, I'm not saying that I'm 100% fine and happy with ultra legendary brawlers. I definitely have concerns, okay? Don't make me the bad guy here. I'm just putting out the numbers. Time to max, not increasing at all. Kaze, ultra legendary, unless they're adding, 4 ultra legendary brawlers a year, which if they did that, I would be very concerned. But unless they did that, time to max isn't increasing. I do have concerns. I'm just saying that people are making this seem a lot worse than it actually is. And I'm sure a lot of people that are hearing me say this are wanting to argue the point that adding ultra legendary brawlers is actually super pay to win because they will be stronger than every other brawler in the game. And that may happen temporarily, but thankfully Brawl Stars, they don't do balance on their brawlers according to rarity. I know that doesn't seem to make sense because a lot of games do. Like, I don't know, if you look at like gacha games like Genshin Impact or something like that, like the most expensive characters are the best in the game. That's not how they do it in Brawl Stars. They do try to make new brawlers slightly stronger on release than average, because whenever they release a brawler that's underpowered, that brawler typically has a really poor play rate for a long time. It takes a long time for people to like start playing the game, playing that brawler again. It takes years for that brawler to recover. And that's not good. They want to add new brawlers into the game that are fun. People want a fun, new, strong player or brawler to play with. It's just more fun. That's just better for everybody, as long as it's not like dominantly way too OP, right? But while they try to like lean more towards releasing brawlers a bit too strong rather than a bit too weak, their genuine goal really is to land on balance. I know it doesn't always feel like that, and we know that they've made mistakes in the past, but they've also corrected those mistakes and have proven that they want to have a well-balanced meta, not just competitively, but across the board. I mean, but even competitively, let's just take a look at the most recent Brawl Cup tournament that happened, I don't know when I'm releasing this video, but a week or so ago. There were definitely a few brawlers that were picked and banned more than average, but we also saw one of the most diverse selection of brawlers on the competitive stage because Brawl Stars is trying to balance every brawler to give them some sort of place competitively in some way. So I'm actually good with Kaze releasing a little bit too strong. I'm also confident that she will eventually become balanced with time because the devs don't balance brawlers based off of rarity. They never have. That's never been their philosophy at Brawl Stars. Their goal when determining brawler rarity has a lot more to do with the uniqueness and complexity of the brawler and the amount of time that it takes to develop that brawler and create it. How long it takes to code it and all the animations, the graphics, everything that goes into creating that brawler. That's way more important for them when they're deciding the rarity for the brawler. And I think that this is actually my biggest concern with the ultra legendary rarity. What I'm worried about is Supercell releasing ultra legendary brawlers that just don't have enough complexity or uniqueness to justify the ultra legendary cost. Kaze is, in my opinion, the most complex brawler in the game. We certainly had a few brawlers, in the game that are kind of like a 2-in-1 sort of feature, right? But like, honestly, none of them do it like Kaze. She has 2 sets of attacks, 2 sets of supers, 2 sets of gadgets, 2 sets of star powers, 2 hypercharges. She even has 2 sets of voice lines, 2 sets of pins, along with 2 sets of animations and 2 different brawler models, depending on which mode she's in, right? She is 2 brawlers and is the truest 2-in-1 brawler in the game. That means that she takes twice the time to develop compared to other brawlers. Now, I don't know if she actually did require twice the time to develop or not, but logically, like if we're just looking at like what she brings to the table, I could see her requiring twice the dev time to make than other brawlers. I want that. I want complex brawlers in the game that require more effort for the devs to make, but the devs can't justify doing that without it being worth it for them. Right? If we look at Brawl Stars as a business, just any business, if a product requires twice the amount of time and effort to create, it's only fair for a business to request twice the cost. It's truly logical. And honestly though, actually even then, a lot of times they'll give it on a discount. It won't be 100% twice the cost. And if we were looking at Kaze being twice the cost, she would actually cost over 7,000 credits. So she is discounted in some ways. I don't know. You guys get what I'm saying here, right? In life, if you want a better product, you pretty much always have to pay more in some way. I don't think that ultra legendary brawlers should be any different, but I am concerned that we won't get ultra legendary brawlers that are twice as fun to play, or that are twice as complex, or that are as like ultra unique. Right? I'm worried. That's what I'm worried about. In my opinion, Kaze really is like the bare minimum for how cool future ultra legendary brawlers need to be. And if we get a ultra legendary brawler that is less cool or less complex, less fun, less ultra than Kaze, I'm going to be upset. And I think the community should be too. Like, we should hold these ultra legendary brawlers to a much higher like requirement and standard than all the other brawlers. That's what I think. But if the developers can hold to the ultra legendary rarity standard and keep those brawlers the quality high, I'm going to be fine with the new rarity. More than that, I would actually welcome it happily, even with its increased cost compared to other brawlers, because I want ultra cool brawlers in the game that require twice the dev time to make. Now, I don't know that everybody wants that. I'm sure there's a group of people that are like, no, I like brawlers to be simple, man. This is too complex for me. But I think that most long-term players do want more complexity. That's what I think, at least. I think they want to have brawlers that are twice as fun to play. And the ultra legendary rarity does allow for that to happen in a way that benefits both the players and the developers. Now, it will take brawlers a long time to unlock Kaze for free. I saw some people arguing that she'll take 6 months to unlock. If you're playing most every day, I think that it's going to be closer to like maybe 2 months for a free-to-play player to get her. That is based off of my free-to-play account where I unlock 90 brawlers in 840 days. If we based off of just that, then the average would take 34 days for an active free-to-play player to get an ultra legendary brawler. But that's actually really not a fair example, because that average actually includes special events, unlocking brawlers from star drops, a whole lot of other stuff that we just can't count on reliably. But it's definitely not going to take 6 months for players to get ultra legendary brawlers like some people are claiming. At least not if you are playing actively. If you're not playing actively, yeah, it could take 6 months, but then like you're playing not actively. You don't deserve to get every brawler unlocked if you're not playing the game, right? Honestly, what I love about this though is that people are clearly passionate about this. I think it is important for you guys to share your concerns in a constructive manner that's not, you know, don't ever like target individuals or anything like that. Like, remain human, be nice to people. And I just understand why people are upset about this. It's expensive. 5,500 credits will take a long time for free-to-play players to unlock. Spending the money on it, I mean, it's so much money. There's better ways for you guys to spend money on it. But I actually think that the ultra legendary rarity will be nice for 2 reasons that I don't see enough people talking about. First of all, the ultra legendary rarity will effectively work as a credit bank to prevent credits from going into fame before new brawlers release, or for you to be able to better choose which brawlers you want to unlock, like when it comes to like the new brawlers and stuff like that. The second thing is, honestly, my biggest issue on my free-to-play account is that I unlock brawlers way faster than I can upgrade them. And so what happens a lot of the time, even on my skin locked account, is a real big problem. I will get quests for brawlers that I don't have upgraded, and then I just get wrecked. Like, I don't know. A couple of years ago, Brawl Stars increased the power discrepancy between upgrade levels, and back then I'm eating crow. I thought that it was an okay decision. Now it's just like, I don't know, I hate it. I really wish they would not have done that, and so I apologize to all the people that I said that I thought that was a good idea. I think it was a terrible idea. I wish they would go back on that, because playing underleveled brawlers just really sucks now, and I hate having to play a quest for a brawler that's underleveled because I don't have the power points and coins to upgrade that brawler. You know, it just really sucks. And in my opinion, having maxed out brawlers is just way more important than having more brawlers. That's true for completing quests. It's true for playing ranked. It's been true in so many other situations, special events included. And having ultra legendary brawlers in the game will give free-to-play players more time to focus their resources on upgrading existing brawlers to competitive levels. I 100% get why some people are going to disagree with me. And it would be super dope if Brawl Stars would just make cooler brawlers for the exact same cost as existing brawlers. If I could have Kaze and have her only cost as much as a legendary brawler, obviously that's what I would want. It's human nature for us to want more for less. But that's just not the way that the world works. Now, if it ends up that we end up getting less for more, yeah, we should be upset about that. I would hope that the community would be aware enough to voice their frustration if that happens with ultra legendary brawlers. And I think it's good for us to hold the developers to a higher expectation for ultra legendary brawlers because of it. But it is also fine for them to hold us to a higher expectation when they deliver more to us to some extent. I think that's perfectly good. Obviously, this is a free-to-play game. Most people are just going to play it for free and it's going to be awesome. With that said, ultra legendary? Is that really the best name that we could come up with? I'm not convinced. I get it. I get this feedback. I actually agree to the point where I actually spent like a good hour trying to come up with a cooler term, which I'm sure is way less than the developers spent trying to come up with a better name for it. And I couldn't think of anything that I felt like was really worth it or better than legendary, right? I've seen people suggest the ultimate rarity. I don't feel like that really fits. It just sounds like they're just better versions of already exist. Like an ultimate makes it seem like you would have ultimate Colt, right? Like, and Colt is like in his ultimate form. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know. Special rarity doesn't really sound special enough. Ancestral rarity kind of sounds like the brawlers is old. You know, like Dynamite, he's kind of ancestral, right? Divine or exalted, they kind of work like a divine brawler, but like that almost makes it sound like religious, which I don't know. I mean, I just don't think that's the way the Brawl Stars wants to go. The one rarity that I could come up with that I think is actually like kind of cool would be like the star rarity. I feel like that fits Brawl Stars the most, but at the same time, star is just used so much in Brawl Stars between star drops, the star road, Brawl Stars, like so much. I don't know. Maybe even that doesn't feel cool enough. Yeah, I don't know. I did actually see one person suggesting just calling it Ultra. I actually like just Ultra more than Ultra Legendary. I don't know. I genuinely would love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you guys could come up with something better, please, anything. Because Ultra Legendary, it just sounds kind of lame, but I don't know. It might be too late for the devs to change the name. Complete side note. If anybody tries to take clips from this video without context in order to make me look bad or whatever, I would appreciate you guys downvoting them or shaming them for doing so. I think it's so dumb when people take one small clip of me saying one small unpopular opinion without all of the context that makes that one small clip actually make sense. I'm not trying to say that my opinion is better than anyone else's. I'm not even trying to create drama within the community. I'm not even trying to justify Supercell's mistakes when we clearly know that they do make mistakes. Right? I'm just some dude sharing my opinion the way I see it, because people told me that they like to hear my opinion. And I love hearing other people's opinions as well, even when I disagree with them or when they disagree with me. As long as everyone is being nice and respectable, I just think that I do a pretty good job at that, and I would appreciate other people giving me that same courtesy. Anyway, those are my 100% honest thoughts. I would really like to hear what you guys agree with or disagree with, so let me know in the comment section below. Even if you disagree, I just ask that you be nice, because I'm human too, and I do have feelings that can and do get hurt online. So thanks so much for watching. I would really appreciate you guys using code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop and on store.supercell.com. We'll see you guys in the next video.